the Andrew cam, the Sean cam, the wide cam. We've got all the cams.
We have all the cams.
All the
this
cams.
Is where you come for all the cams.
Moto Futura, that's where you get your cams. Come here. And if you're listening, you're missing out because I am wearing...
See, this is what happens when you've got your Godzilla ugly sweater on.
Yeah, if for anyone who's only listening, because I'm like, it's the season and I get to drag this thing out of my closet, only once a year, right before the Christmas holiday. And yeah, it is a Godzilla ugly Christmas sweater, which courtesy of, I shouldn't say courtesy, I paid for it, from Anime Ape, which is they like excel in putting all kinds of like sci-fi cartoons, whatever, like all over clothing. And I was like, yeah, and it has a nice little,
I know, it's pretty cool.
It kind of co-ops the Christmas carol, fa la 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 la, Godzilla. And I'm like, it's also pun based, which I'm like, okay, that's cheeky and kind of dad joke enough where I'm like, that's me.
This feels like a pretty good segue into the vibe for today. Yeah,
I think, again, cursed words. We're going to keep it short.
Well, we are today because I've got to leave.
We are. We've got pressure. It's like, okay, we got to be professionals about this. We have you have a real thing to go do hard out. So, yes. But I think today would be really fun because we have been unintentionally very deep in many of our shows.
Even when we tried to be light, it went really deep.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think that's also, to our defense, that's also the state of things. It's just, it's crazy it's hard to get away from these things. But I thought today we could take just a little pause with some of the craziness. And I think there's two things I'd like to talk about. One, because it's the end of the year, we're starting to get a lot of like the end of the year wrap ups and stuff, which I'll say we'll talk about like more of like a comprehensive wrap up when we get closer to the end of the new year, but all of the Spotify stuff is out. So I figured we could talk about that and celebrate that a little bit. And then of course, I think, not to beat the horse here, but I'm like, but Apple has done it again. They keep winning in my eyes. I don't know.
Are you going to leave that dangling until we got through the cold open or?
That's it. Trying out
Apple has done it again.
Done it again. So stick with us. We'll take a quick break. We'll jump right back in and you can learn and see. Well, I'm curious if people will agree with me or they think I'm crazy.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Initializing waveform.
Modulating signals for transmission.
Exploring the possible, probable, and preferable futures.
Welcome to Modem Futura.
Shortest cold open ever, Sean.
I feel I'm like I think I used a stronger coffee this morning too, so I think I'm feeling that it's exciting. Things are happening. It's getting to the end of the year. I'm pretty jazzed up. I'm wearing this ridiculous. Partly the ridiculous sweater I think is giving me energy.
I can see. Yes.
What is it? The Godzilla's like nuclear fire energy.
Whereas I've got the cozy fireplace sweater where I'm just going to be falling asleep off.
That's right. Yes. It's like the ski lodge. You've got the ski lodge vibe going. I've got like
the drink in my hand. Yes,
that's right. A nice warm glass of mulled wine, perhaps, yes. Or and I've got the vibe of like some crazy dude running around with his hair on fire with his like loud sweater. But anyway, I'm Sean Leahy, joined by my cozy
Andrew Maynard.
And that means this is Moto Futura, the show that explores the intersection of technology, society, and the possible, probable, and preferable futures, asking deep questions like what will it mean to be human in the future? And I hope it's not this future because, Godzilla destroying mega monsters. But as I kind of mentioned, so again, here we are. We've during this the year of 2025. So almost by the time this one airs, like 11 episodes. We've already cruised past the 1 year mark by 11 episodes.
Goodness me!
So we're already, we're already almost 20% into the next one. Yeah. But it's really fun. So on social media, a lot of people are sharing their personal spot. If you're a Spotify customer or user, at the end of the year, like many platforms, I know Apple Music has done it with their rewind, replay. I can't remember. They share sort of all these tech companies seem to do this now, is like your year in review, which is kind of fun.
It's the we see you.
Yeah, exactly. It's also a reminder. It's also a reminder for everyone. You're like, oh, this is so fun. How do they know all that?
Right.
They collect all this data.
Yes.
So, but hey, we know that going into a lot of the stuff that people are going to, they're collecting it. So at least give it to me in a fun package way where I can do something with it.
Yep.
It was fun. I will, before we get into the Modem Futura one, my personal one, my Apple Music, because I have a Spotify account, which I use to listen to Modem Futura from time to time. But also most of my music consumption is done through Apple Music. Right. And every year, so for a while now, they've been doing those replays. And it was funny. So I got mine this year and I'm looking it up because I'm always curious. I'm like, how do you see me? And you're like, okay, artist one. Yep. Cool. And then you get to one, you're like, oh, the Laurie Berkner Band, which is a children's band. Right. And I was like, but I have mixed feelings about that and so that was there. And then it was like other artists after that was like, yep. So still the children's music is still coming through.
Okay, but is that because you play it for your kids or they get into your account?
Yes, right, yes. And as they get older, they are starting to get their own stuff or whatever. But there's like this bittersweetness to that because if I look back at my older replays, it used to be, I'm not joking, like top of the list was like Raffi. right. Simple Songs, like all these like.
Clearly you're growing up, Sean.
Well,
eventually. Yeah.
I'm getting older. The question is, am I getting any more mature?
Right.
I think that's, we could.
It's going to regress again at some point. Yes.
That's right. I'm just waiting for that.
Right.
But it was just kind of fun because you get these things and you're like, oh, all right, it is back to more, because I used to kind of complain about that where you're like, you get your year review and it was all children's music and you're just like, come on, like I listen to better stuff. And because everyone was sharing it and I felt like I can't share this.
Right. It's just poisoned it.
I will go out on a limb for anyone who has young kids that one of my favorite all-time kids albums is Raffi in Concert from like 1987 or something like that. Yep. It is I had that on cassette tape when I was a child. Yeah. I probably wore that thing out. My kids have listened to it endlessly, but anyway, lots of fun. I'm curious, have you gotten any of your end of year review?
No, because I don't use these platforms. I'm not a Spotify person. I don't use Apple Music. I use sort of way more serious sort of hi-fi platforms that typically don't do this sort of thing.
Lossless, all those hi-fi lossless players. They're not tracking.
I know, yes.
Maybe they can't. Maybe it's like
they
too high.
They just haven't caught up with the times.
Maybe that's it. But yeah. So I wanted to share, and I did already post, and I'll put a link to it and I'll post it somewhere else. Because I did share a video of me kind of because they do a cool thing. So for creators, you get sort of like your stats in one of these replays, which is kind of nice.
This is for the Modem Futura
just for Modem Futura on Spotify. Yep. And so what I'll say too is just to state it as we go into this. So Spotify makes up just under 16% of our total sort of podcast audience.
Yes. Which is actually pretty normal for a podcast.
It is. Yes. I think our distribution, again, I'll share more of this later towards the end of the year, but our distribution falls pretty normally where the majority is Apple Podcasts, followed by Spotify, followed by then like everybody else. Yes. So there's like this sort of runoff. So it's usually about 60% Apple Podcasts, it's about 15-16% Spotify, and then the trailing bits for everybody else with 1-2% sort of thing. But even so, knowing that going in, I was just, and now granted, Spotify has a vested interest to make me happy about this, right? So we'll call that out right away.
This is Christmas cheer hallucinations.
They're right, and because I did get one from Waymo, by the way. That was like, hey, you took 3 rides, congratulations. And I was like, oh, that's kind of sad, but anyway. So understandably, this is also to make me feel good about their platform. But it is packaged in a very pleasant way. So again, I'll link the video to so you can see the actual video because I think it's worth. It's kind of clever,
and it doesn't come with music, does it?
No.
So I was waiting for you to say
music on it.
Okay, I was waiting for you to say that it gives you the recommended playlist for the podcast as well.
See, that would be cool. That would be cool.
Yes.
It does recommend artists though. Let me go into it.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
And then it's fine. But the video if you watch it on YouTube or whatever, the audio that's there, I put that on there. Okay. That's not from. This is the But anyway, from Spotify, can you take a guess what our top episode on Spotify would be? If you had to guess one of them, it's recent. It's recent.
It's a recent one.
Yeah, it's within the last 6 months.
Goodness me, no, I can't.
It was with a guest.
With Punya?
You got
yes.
it. Yep. So according to, then again, this is just on Spotify. Our top episode was The Future of Learning, AI and Education with Punya Mishra.
Yep.
So
which is good because it's such a good episode.
It's a wonderful episode.
Yep.
And I'll be curious to check this when I pull the numbers for our sort of end of year show. I would be curious where that ranks in all the other platforms as well, because it did very well. Because it's a fun. I mean, I don't know how much you do it, but I reference the conversation we had in there a lot.
Well,
it was so transformative.
One of the world's leading experts on education talking about the cutting edge of AI in education. I mean, there's stuff there that it's really hard to get elsewhere.
Yep. And what I love about that, and what I love about our conversations with Punya always with this, whether on microphone or off, is the exploration of just beyond that surface layer.
That's it.
It's really thinking, because I think some of those conversations are what have shaped a lot of that perspective that I certainly talk from, which is it's not about AI in education. It's about education in a world where AI is everywhere. Right. And just that subtle shift of the conversation is massive in terms of what it
that's right. But also just on that episode, it's a brilliant example of what we're doing here. So we are not just broadcast here.
Right.
And I'm not sure how many people realize that every conversation we have is a learning conversation.
Yeah.
This is what we do as academics, explore new ideas, bash ideas around between us, and develop our own thinking and understanding through these conversations. And I think the one with Punya was one of those where I came away knowing more and thinking differently and having different questions.
Yep. And we talk a lot about this. We use the word catalyze a lot, right? And I think that was one of those episodes where you can feel it.
I know, yes.
And with just within the three of us, let alone the hope then is that is catalyzing ideas, conversations, new perspectives of inquiry from people who are watching or listening to that episode as well. But that is, I mean, you are seeing that intellectual, scholarly output happening live
in real time,
unfiltered.
Yes, I know, right?
unlike when you do it on a paper, when you can write something, go, ooh, that sounds bad.
I almost want to say this is how the sausage is made, apart from the fact that it's much more attractive than making sausages.
This is how the vegan sausage is made with soy products.
Even that I'm not quite sure about.
I probably don't want to see
that. This is where the
either.
fairy dust happens. Yes,
the magic. That's right.
Unicorns and rainbows. Yes.
Always, right? But then, so also in Spotify, I don't know if a lot of people know this, you can add video. So this is a newer feature within the last, I would say, year. Maybe it's been a little longer than that.
Yep.
But Spotify, in their goals of also just being a more media-rich platform for this kind of content.
So all of our recent content is on video, isn't it?
Yep. So what I do is during the process is once the video that I do that goes up on YouTube, that also then goes into Spotify.
Yep.
So Spotify listeners or viewers can choose, which is kind of nice. What I like about that in terms of the platform is that if you are a follower or subscriber to the show, you can choose. Do you want the audio or do you want the video right in the same sort of like episode page?
Okay.
It's not like, one of the downsides of traditional podcasting, which we do, is it's RSS based. So that goes out purely as an audio file. If you want the video, you got to hightail it over to YouTube or something to watch it. So I do like that there's a way to package those things too, so you can flip them back and forth basically, which is kind of nice. But I was quite pleased when I got this. So talking about video, according to YouTube, our show, so the whole show of Modem Futura, is in the top 20% of all videos on Spotify.
That's pretty good.
And again, that's only 16% of our audience. So I'm like, it's 16% of our audience and it's 20% of their audience.
Yep.
I'm like, that's pretty good.
Yes, yeah.
I was sitting pretty tall, right. Suddenly, feeling pretty good about myself.
Your sights on Joe Rogan. I mean, sort of only 19 places to go.
And each one is exponentially higher than the next.
See,
right?
That's the downside.
It's always with one of those lessons, right?
It's a logarithmic curve.
That's right. Exactly. Right. So the distance between you and the next single value is a factor of 10, right? Like it's like decibels, right? It's like, oh my goodness. But yeah, it's, but also again, the international reach, which that's been to me one of the most, I said fun or unexpected parts of our show is also the reach that we've had around the globe.
Right.
I've shared numbers before. The numbers that from our RSS podcasts that aren't delivered via Spotify are much bigger, but even just Spotify alone has reached 53 countries worldwide.
Right.
You want to take a guess at our top international? Well, okay, United States is one.
Right. Okay. So outside that, Canada.
Canada's number 3.
UK?
Number 4.
Number 4.
Yep.
Okay, who is number 2 then? Australia?
Number 5.
Wow. So what am I missing here?
Switzerland. Switzerland.
Hello, Switzerland.
Hello,
Thank you.
Switzerland on Spotify. Which I talk about missing the Christmas market scene right now. It would be nice to be in Switzerland at the moment.
Yeah.
Anyhow, but yeah, so I thought that was really good. And those numbers, those are close to what our normal, like the full, it kind of mirrors some of the bigger pieces that we have on there.
Right.
But yeah, it's really cool. I mean, again, we have some of these, these numbers are, I think, designed explicitly to make Sean feel good.
Right.
But then it goes through and it's like, you're a top. So of our audience, how many people ranked it in their top 10. So in their Spotify Wrapped, our podcast showed up in their top 10. So over 230 people had us in their top 10.
Wow.
And then it goes on, and then 138 had us in their top 5. And even 54 deranged individuals had us as their number 1.
So how big is your family, Sean?
So to those 54,
it was the Leahy extended family.
My payroll. You just see my payroll. No, but for those,
but actually, that's pretty good. I guess some people listen and think they're fairly small numbers. Actually, for a podcast, those are pretty impressive.
And again, this is only 16% of our audience,
right? Yes, yes.
And so, and that's for 54 people who, in their Wrapped, our show was their number 1 liked and listened to podcast. Yes, and so, for those 54. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And to all those people who make this show possible and listen to it. I mean, it's just absolutely fun. And so it's just, just a joy to see these. And we see, some figures too, like the top fans, they listen on an average of way more than others. So 4.1 times that of everyone else. So, they're really kind of getting into it. There's lots of numbers. Well, I'll speed up here, but the video I scroll through the whole thing so people can see all these other pieces. But so what's interesting is coming to the music part. So it also shows me the top artists of our audience. Which is kind of interesting.
I love that.
So what I like about this reporting is how it kind of flips it a little bit.
Okay, and you've got to tell me this. Then.
Okay, so do you want to take? Who do you think is number 1?
I have no idea whatsoever.
I knew who 4 out of the 5 were. Number 1, T Swift, good old Taylor Swift.
Okay, is that
not a surprise?
Okay, so a good, solid, middle of the road audience.
Yep. Number 2, Bad Bunny. Okay, so who I think is going to be the halftime appearance on this year's Super Bowl. Which was
we got there first.
Yep.
They should be crediting us here.
Yeah, that's right. Can we? Who do I have to talk to at for the Super Bowl to put in the lower third? Bad Bunny. Also, number 2, listen to for Moto Futuro podcast subscribers. Number 3 this is an oldie, but I'm loving to see it on here. The Beatles. Number 4. This is the one I didn't know. Morgan Wallen.
No.
Yeah, I mean this. I also will put this out there. I have reached that point in life where. Every year, YouTube and all these other places are like the creators of the year and the celebrities. And I'm like, who?
Yes.
Huh? Who? I don't know them, never heard of them. So that's, I'm starting to show that, and then number 5 was Lady Gaga. So there we go.
Actually, well, yes. Yeah.
Top audiobooks. So same thing. Because of course, Spotify is also not leaving on the table a flex to show that they do more than just music, right? It's podcasts, it's audiobooks.
It's audio, everything.
Atomic Habits by James Clear, Abundance by Ezra Klein and Derek Thorne. 12 Laws of the Universe, The Myth of Normal, Culpability, a Spotify special edition. So I don't know what that one is, but
But I love this because this gives us such a good profile of the sorts of people that are listening to us.
Yeah.
But it also sets us a challenge. I'm thinking about sort of how do we reach a bigger audience so we sort of shift that demographic as it's sort of represented by Spotify.
Yep. And you want to hear the real challenge?
Go on.
Top podcasts that our audience listens to. Number 1, the Joe Rogan Experience.
There we are.
So, hey, Joe.
Right.
I don't know. You want to have us on or something?
Give us a shout
Give
out.
us a plug, man. I don't know. I've never heard, and I've never heard of some of these other ones. The Danny Jones podcast, Alex and Siggy's podcast, Julie Dory podcast, and I have heard of number 5, Critical Role.
Okay,
if you enjoy Dungeons and Dragons and stuff like that and fantasy, Critical Role, it's pretty cool. So I have heard of that one, but just a ton of fun. Let me see if there's any last things here we can. That says, you might want to frame this. Yeah. Or our most talked about show. These are kind of cool. So these are like the awards it gave us. That in 2025, we had a marathon show. So fans listened to our show longer than 92% of other shows. So, which is awesome.
Which in terms of stats, I know this from YouTube because I've done a lot more on YouTube, and that retention is critical. And it's amazing. Most YouTube videos, people will last sort of a few seconds. And if you're getting to between 30 seconds and 2 minutes, you're doing really well.
Yep. And so that's I mean, to me, it's again, the numbers are always a sensitive thing because you want, in podcasting, like the stock market, all you want is growth. But it is the quality of that. Because again, we take this is a community we're building. And so even though it would be nice to see gazillion, million, trillion, listens or whatever, these stats are more encouraging to me than anything else because and
to be clear, I'm thinking about why we do this. Yes, numbers are good because we get traction with numbers, but actually really we do this for sort of catalyzing thinking and ideas.
That's right.
And the reach is there for a reason. And the reason is to help people think differently on their own terms about the world they're living in.
Yeah, because I mean, as we've talked endlessly, we are at a very sensitive inflection point. Right. Just asking that question, what does it mean to be human?
Right.
Because of all the things that we talk about, the changes and how do we approach that from futures and all these kind of things. No, it's really cool. Also, we were a talked about show. Mm-hmm. So more comments than 89% of other shows on ours, which is nice. In a most
doesn't say what those comments were.
It doesn't.
Please stop.
Please, how do I make this stop? Where's the unsubscribe button? Like, there isn't one. You can't do it.
But please do comment.
and
would you like to leave a comment about that?
Would you like to leave a comment about your comment? Because we're also a most shared show. So our show received more shares than 93% of other shares. So awesome. Thank you to the humans and the team behind that at Spotify also for putting these things together because it's a fun way of digesting. And really, I hope that it helps bring the creator and the audiences together a little bit.
Right.
Because I think besides just getting some of these numbers that make me happy, we're getting to see some of the stats from our audience. Like what books are they listening to? What other podcasts are they listening to? Things like that. Because we always have our suspicions, right? I mean, you see them, we're like, well, everyone's listening to the Joe Rogan podcast or whatever.
Right. What I love about this as well, especially because we're at the end of the year, which is a time of reckoning for anybody that has to do annual reports and reviews, where you're supposed to be sort of presenting this evidence for whether you've actually done anything the last year. And we all know that just sort of bare numbers don't tell you anything at all, but this actually gets to the heart of what we're achieving. So it's an alternative way of beginning to understand sort of reach and impact, which I love.
No, absolutely. I think it's a ton of fun. And like I said, I will, when we get closer to the end of the actual year, I'll pull some of the bigger stats so we can kind of do a similar thing. We can kind of have some fun, just kind of going through that. And I think it's important also, not just for us, but for our community to know that how much we appreciate and value all the comments that we get, the ratings that people, or the reviews that people leave. When they do that, we read all of them. We read the emails if you send them. The people we bump into that share their ideas or thoughts with us, it's a tremendous, and it really is. To me, that's some of the most rewarding part is having these conversations leave as fun as they are in here. It's so rewarding to hear that these conversations are in fact catalyzing conversations outside of this wall, which is just absolutely fantastic. Right. I'm looking at our time. How are we doing on time? We're doing okay on time. So the other thing I want to talk about is what I had foreshadowed. Apple has done it. They've done it again.
Okay. Tell us what they've done, Sean.
They have found a way. Well, first of all, if people aren't familiar, Apple has I don't know how far back the holiday ads have gone, but for quite a while now, 10 years plus, Apple has been putting out these sort of emotional tearjerker holiday ads, right? Yes. Usually they're all ads for specifically usually for iPhone, but not maybe always. But this year they've done it again, but in a surprise. Everyone's expecting what's the tearjerker, holiday ad could be. I was surprised pleasantly at what this year's was because of how I think what an important stake in the ground or flag in the whatever metaphor you want to use
in this age of AI. And I have seen this. So
leaning again, not only making a nod, but making an intentional play around celebrating human craft and care and production to make a fun thing. And I mean, if that thing is an advertisement, yes, get it. That's fine. But even within that, they're going to make an advertisement anyway.
Yep.
And so the pieces, and we can, I wrote a bit about it. I'll link it in the piece as well. But we can kind of tear this thing down in its entirety. But really, the lead here is that, so they came out, they have a Christmas ad this year called A Critter Carol. And it is a like Muppet-esque homage.
Right.
It is deranged. I don't know. The Muppets are like,
but it's all puppets.
It's all practical,
all proper puppets, which are sort of managed by puppeteers.
That's
professional
right.
puppeteers.
That's right. And so it is an entire. So if you think of like, if you're having trouble imagining this, think of the Jim Henson group. So the Muppets, right, where you have a mixture of a puppet and a marionette with on hands and things, and so you have this team of people below, behind, above, operating these physical, furry, deranged looking woodland animals.
Right.
They have the amount of, I mean, even just those animals, when you look at them, the amount of like personality and care. And it's just, it really is one of these deep nested things. But it's a commercial about, so the story is, it's a commercial about someone walking through the woods. They drop their iPhone. These woodland creatures find it and then have all kinds of fun with the phone.
Right. Actually making a video with it. Yes.
And that's the selling point is like these animals are using like the video capabilities and they're making like all this fun content and whatever. But again, so the commercial at face value is cool. It's fun. And you watch it and you're like, oh, that's cute. And again, you find yourself kind of smiling along with it because it's charming and it has this, whatever. But again, like I had talked about with the logo, the power of this comes when they release the behind the scenes.
Right. So you see sort of how they made it and why they did that.
How they made it, why they did it. You see the puppeteers and you get to, and the person, I mean, it makes you like the commercial in a way that is like, and it seems silly. I know, because it's an advertisement, but I find myself watching it just for the production of it. Because it's, it's like, well, and also like, I mean, I think I'm the obvious mark. I'm like, yep, got it. iPhone 17, awesome.
But what I'm just building on that, what I love about this is when you begin to understand what went into it. I mean, this is in an age of AI where you can create a realistic looking video with a finger snap. And yet Apple very, very intentionally didn't do that. And they make a very big point of saying every decision, every action is not only human driven, but it underlies it is a deep human craft. Everything from sort of how those puppets look and how their whiskers are arranged and their characters and how they're controlled and how it's filmed. Everything is a celebration of being human. Yeah,
absolutely. And the thing is, it's I mean, I think to sum it in general, just like that this holiday ad leans heavily into the messiness, the human craft, right? The human limitations, the emotional resonance. Like, this is what I wrote down here too, right? Is that it's like the emotional resonance of making something imperfect on purpose. Right? So it frames not just these artistic choices, but also it takes a cultural stance where AI can produce anything. And I think even that, right? That these characters are far from perfect. When you look at it, I think unhinged or deranged is kind of a
well. The wolf is the best one.
The wolf, the wolf is the best one,
and his loving relationship with the rat.
That's right, or not very loving relationship. But when you see that too, it's like there's also that push against making something too sterile, too perfect.
That's
it.
Yes.
And it really hits on all these notes. And one of the things that I find interesting is in the behind the scenes aren't also new. Apple has done this for a long time with a lot of their creative ads. They've released the behind the scenes, which have, for the most part, I think have always kind of gone relatively unnoticed by comparison. I've always enjoyed them, but I knew to seek them out. And I think that is the behind the scenes is better than the actual film.
I would say it's absolutely compelling viewing.
And you get to see, and what's cool about it too is, like you might expect with a group of puppeteers, right? They're probably some characters themselves, right? And that comes across very quickly. But you can see then also, again, thinking about championing that human-centered craft, where you see the emotion, sort of the spirit, if you will, the soul, whatever, of the puppeteer being translated as a character into this, thing of fur, felt, and glass or whatever they're created out of. And you can feel that even when they're in the behind the scenes, the guy is, his hand is in the mouth, right? And so, but he's full in character, and it's like,
which is quite incredible.
It's really fun.
Yeah. But then there's a really interesting other layer to this. So all of this is very, very human centric. It's a celebration of the messiness of being human, the glorious messiness.
Yeah. Yes.
But at the same time, it is super high tech. So all of it's filmed on the latest version of the iPhone, which is a masterpiece in technology anyway. And then, of course, in post-production, when they sort of remove the humans who just see the animals, I am sure that there are some aspects of AI being used
probably,
there.
Right.
But the fact is, they're not saying sort of we are anti-AI. They're saying we're pro-human. And we're going to use these incredibly advanced technologies in ways that celebrate humanity rather than just depress it.
In fact, I think what's one of the best parts is they don't say anything at all.
They don't. You have to infer that.
That's what I bring to it, right? And that's the reflection.
So it's not preachy at all. It's a celebration.
And and for people who are like, oh, come on, Sean, you're just an Apple fanboy. I'm like, well, there's that. We can set that aside, but objectively also, because I think the other piece that thank you for bringing that up is also, so this is not the only one. They do this with several of their ads, but the ones that say all shot on iPhone or whatever, that is also meant to serve as an aspirational demonstration.
That's right. Yes.
Because what has been real, I think broadly people, when you think about what smartphone you buy, people, again, no one's going, well, what's the telephony capabilities of that device? What exactly, which wireless modem is it using?
Right.
Most people care about what's the camera.
Right.
What's the camera? Yes. And maybe now they're asking what AI stuff can it do or something, right?
Cameras are really important.
But camera the smartphone industry has known this for a long time. Samsung, Apple, Google, that the camera is what sells the phones. And what has been incredibly impressive is, and I would say all flagship smartphones have really great cameras, right? But what has, in my opinion, as a media professional as well, as what has set the iPhone apart is the way that they integrate file handling. So the files that come out of these, also what they've been able to do with the codecs that they use when you film, so think about this, if you're just I would say a regular user, you pull your phone out and you just hit record, that's great. And it gives you a very usable file. If you want to get into cinematography, you have real cinematography file recording options. You can do things, you can record at ProRes. So these are words that if you're not one, you're going to like, this sounds like I'm casting a spell. But it's like you can
basically fill your phone up in 5 minutes. Video, because the files are so
That's
big.
right. And what it has done, it has created a device that you could remove one of these big, heavy, fancy, expensive camera rigs from a film studio rig, drop in an iPhone, attach the same stuff to it, and off and running.
Right.
And it's incredible. I mean, there's a reason we're using them here too.
That's right. So, you talk about the democratization of filmmaking and sort of creativity. It feels in some way, if you go back to, say, the 80s and maybe before that, where you had the 8mm cameras, and you had amateurs sort of creating their own sort of home videos. that was liberating, but you could always tell that they were homegrown. We are now at an age where you can take sort of whatever it is, sort of $50,000, $500,000 sort of rigs that people use for movies and way more than that, and replace it with a few relatively cheap phones and get virtually identical quality. And that, in terms of putting these tools in the hands of a massive number of people, is amazing.
It's amazing. And even, and again, like, what's the translation is I can't take an iPhone 17 out into the woods with a few puppets and recreate this. It would look weird. Talk about an
you could try.
Talk about an unhinged commercial. But because, what you're missing, of course, is like the sets and the lighting and all that. It is a full production. But the aspirational quality is like, you can put that in your hand, and now you can take that and you can start exploring all the way from wherever you are, all the way up to some of the highest production value cinematography that is possible.
And this is where the human element comes in. So again, completely counter to what we see with things like Sora, where you just put in a prompt and get a video. Now you have the tools to allow your creativity to be unleashed. So now the secret sauce here is you as the human. What can you imagine? And how can you utilize these tools to realize that imagination? And
each, we talk, I think I nerded out about Genlock when the iPhone 17 came out.
I know.
But what that, and so again, if you're not a cinematographer, you don't need to know what that is. But what has been really powerful is like so while the cameras themselves have been getting, better and sharper, and especially under low light conditions, all this kind of stuff. But then along with that have been a lot of these very quiet sort of high-end professional little updates, the file formats that you can use, the color grading elements that you can apply to these things that fit right into the highest end video production pipelines.
Yes.
So you can go from everywhere from it's the first time I've ever picked up a device to shoot a little video, or I'm a kid and I want to make my first Lego stop motion in my bedroom, all the way through I am making Hollywood level productions that are going internationally, blah, 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 whatever, in film, in television, in commercials, whatever, that those tools are baked right into that device.
Right.
And it's kind of done quietly where it's like, shot on iPhone, whatever. But even things, again, coming back to the iPhone, they have some of these amazing tools like shooting in cinematic mode in the video. You can shoot it up to 4K. And the reason I say that to people, if you are someone out there who is like, I'm kind of interested in that aesthetic of cinematography, it allows you to adjust the depth of field focal length after the fact.
Right. Yes.
So
which is amazing when you think about it. Yes.
So you can set it yourself in the camera, and then you might go, oh no, like what I'm trying to film is blurry and it's out of focus. Doesn't matter. When you're done, you can pop it into Final Cut and you can change it later because it's capturing all that data and allows you to do it. And again, what it ends up then is you can do what's called a focus pull. And you know this in a movie or a TV show, when you're looking at something in the foreground, the background's out of focus and all of a sudden it switches and it's like done dramatically or whatever. That's a focus pull. And you can do that now with the pocket in your device that you would have otherwise needed.
Without the sort of tape measures and the lenses.
And a dedicated person who just is a focus puller. Right.
Yes.
Like, I mean, it's amazing what these tools can do. And so these kind of expressions to me, they just are so warm and rich that I just love them because of it is so deeply nested. Fun little video to watch. Yep, you're smiling. Why? Because of that entire stack of human care and craft that's been put into it. And then on top of that, the cherry, if you will, is that the device, in this case, again, they're selling the iPhone. That's fine. But the power of what they're selling is that flattened, democratized access to what used to be very high-end professional equipment that doesn't mean you can pick up a phone and be, the next, whatever filmmaker, but you also could be.
Right. Yes.
You can bring your vision, your creativity,
if you have the talent and the training, or even the aspiration,
just the drive, right? And even if all you do is get some really kick-ass home family videos, that's amazing.
Right.
And so it's really powerful. And I do think it's worth noting that right now, I just read an article this morning that McDonald's in the Netherlands specifically just pulled their holiday ad because of the huge amount of backlash from two things: criticizing their use of AI because it's very, very obvious, and also like their messaging was like, I think it was a swing and a miss because it was like, the holidays are terrible, so spend all your time at McDonald's instead. And it was like, it did not hit.
Didn't go well,
and they've pulled it and all this kind of stuff.
ChatGPT suggestion. So you can see some McDonald's execs saying, we need to create a Christmas ad. What should we put in it?
How do we get everyone to spend their Christmas in McDonald's? I know. But also, I forget, was it 2 years ago? I can't remember the date now. Apple had a different ad that did not go so well. Famously,
a crushing ad.
Yes, famously known now as the Crush.
Yes.
And again, the intent, I believe, full-heartedly, the intent was to show it was an iPad ad, and it was all of these like basically all creative elements.
Yes.
Music instruments, paints, like everything that artists or humans do to create. And then it was
put in a huge sort of commercial crusher.
A hydraulic press, which, there's a whole genres of these these videos where you watch these hydraulic presses crush stuff, right? But they had done it. And then, so the reveal was this big crush of all these like music instruments and all this stuff. And then the result was the iPad is what came out.
Because it's all in there. Yes.
And the message was supposed to be, all of the tools you need for your creativity are baked into this tool.
Right.
The message was received was, we're going to squash everything that is human and nice and give you with a piece of tech instead.
Right. So this is a nice counterpoint to that.
And I think message heard, message received. And I think what I like to see is as a company that has the financial backing or resources, but also the reach into society with their products and services and whatnot, that they are, again, they're not drawing attention to it themselves, being like, we're anti anything. They're just putting out amazing stuff. And guess what? That amazing stuff mostly it's human centered.
That's it. Yes.
And again, I'm sure there's AI tools in the whole pipeline.
Sure.
There's got to be.
Yep.
You know?
But the other sort of final flip to this is, I wonder whether this is part of a pushback we're seeing against sterile AI content.
Yeah.
And that people are beginning to realize that, it's superficially flashy and nice, but it lacks some of that human authenticity and grit. And we want that. Absolutely.
I mean, you can look at a really, because I've been thinking about this a lot. Because I've been bringing it into all of our episodes lately too, is this pushback against, the slop kind of thing, which again, that's a pejorative term meant when it's been used instead of using something with care. Doesn't mean you can't use AI to create.
Sure.
Of course,
yes.
Yeah. But because I was thinking about a lot about that and where some of this like misplaced trust comes. Mm-hmm. And I feel like a lot of it is on when you're experimenting with stuff, when a new tool comes out and you're like, let me see what it can do. Mm-hmm. And you don't have a set vision yet.
Right.
You're easily impressed because you didn't have a bar.
Sure.
It didn't fail.
It's fun. It's interesting.
Right.
Yes.
And you're like, that's so cool. And then you start thinking, wow, this thing can do anything because I just played with it for 10 minutes and I was blown away by what it did until we've talked about this before, until you have that intentional, like, I want a furry wolf that's weird and is going to eat this friend and all this kind of stuff, and then be like rah, 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 with the tail hanging out of his mouth, like all these things that you could see, and then
you lose creative control because now the creativity is in the hands of the AI, not you.
And most likely, you're not getting what you asked for. You're getting something.
Yep.
And when you have that specific view, you're like, no, that's not what I want. And that's where we talked about this last time too, with the idea of that loss of friction.
Yep.
But that's where that big gap falls from the people who are boosting and hyping this stuff.
Yep.
Even people like, we know, and they're like, but I'm like, but have you really tried using it for a very specific production of something?
Yeah.
Oftentimes it's like when you drill down, it's like, oh no, you played with it, you gave it some test things, and you were impressed by what you got.
Yep.
But you didn't actually use it. Because I've tried. I have exhausted many of these tools at length. I mean, I still remember the first one. It was the first ChatGPT video thing. And it was like, it's so amazing. I used the same prompts, used all this stuff, and I got like a floating torso and this weird thing. And you're like,
you just cannot get it exactly
garbage.
Where you want it.
Yep.
Yes. Which is where we're heading towards the age of mediocrity.
Yeah, exactly. and I think also the people who are in the industry, right? I mean, because we're also seeing a lot of the AI pushes into the Hollywood space,
right.
Is also, just a time right now where it's like, let's flex what we can do.
Right. Yes.
Even if it's just quietly, we're just going to do this amazing stuff. And then over time that just either the wheat will separate from the chaff. Is that the right way to say it?
Yeah. Got to get rid of the chaff.
Yeah. That, it will rise above over time. Once people get back past the, like, let me see what it can do. Oh, that's really neat. But then it's like, no, I want a story that does, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, oh, you can't get that.
right.
You can't get that. But, and again, maybe you can use it for other things. So even in a production like this, where you're going to use blue screens, make it fill in parts and do something perfect use for that kind of stuff.
Actually, the tie-in, of course, is the book AI and the Art of Being Human, because
absolutely.
It's all about sort of working out sort of what you want to do, what your values are, what you're trying to build, and then bring in the tools that allow you to do that. And don't be seduced by the tools that pull you away from that.
Yep. No, that's absolutely it. I mean, I think I'm looking at this last piece I wrote. I was just like, so I would just say this again, kind of, to that end. I wrote, it's cheeky, it's fun, and if you find yourself smiling while you watch it, that's because you can feel the care and craft that went into every frame.
Yep.
This wasn't the result of a few prompts into Sora 2. It was a deliberately designed story brought to life by actors, artists, producers, technologists, writers, logistic teams, sales folks, interns, and countless other human roles that all worked together to bring this to life. And I hope that I'll paraphrase this part, but I hope this is just the beginning and that what we really see. And I think also just in terms of, there's a lot of people that never see the behind the scenes of any of this stuff.
Yep.
Hollywood movies, TV shows, radio, podcasts, radio, everything. I kind of hope that this is the beginning, and we'll hope maybe this is I'll put this, we can kind of wrap up with this, that I have a hope for 2026 that this will be the year of behind the scenes.
Okay.
This kind of call, and I would challenge all of our colleagues and things, and our fellow podcasters and all the other people that are also like making content, is to start sharing some of the behind the scenes and let people see the real.
You're just teeing yourself up to talk about all the technicalities with how we make Modern Futura.
I'm like, I've got this hidden roadmap.
I know you've been wanting to do this for a long time.
Next week on Nerd Stuff. But it is important. I do think it's important to see this because again,
it comes down to sort of who we are as humans.
That's right.
And what we do and why we do it.
That's right. Yes. And the art becomes the art really is the process, not the finished asset or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But yeah,
this is a great aim for 2026.
I think so.
Yes, I'm putting the human back.
I want to call it 2026, the year of behind the scenes or something. That's see, now I need to use AI to come up with a better title.
Yes.
That's a hope I have. And then, so we'll see. And I know I will do my best to share.
To just slip that in.
And, for those who are interested we talk cameras, we can talk mics, we can talk all the process, all that kind of stuff. Clearly it doesn't take much to get me going on that. But, well, this has been fantastic.
It has, and on time.
And on time, which is, that's a stressful thing for me to talk about all this fun stuff and keep it within the container. But yeah, absolutely fantastic. And again, for all of our listeners, both who have been with us since episode 1 or even from the trailer, and anyone who's just discovering us, massive thank you to spending your time with us. But also, if we could ask, help us reach an even bigger audience by either following, liking, or subscribing, however your podcast player allows you to do. Follow the show, leave us a rating and review, because honestly, that is the biggest metric that gets new people to discover our show. And I even this morning listening to Apple News, part of the daily news routine, even Apple's own podcast asked people to do the same thing. So they are feeling the same crunch, so that the ratings and reviews really are what matter and what helps. So if you could that would be greatly appreciated. Otherwise, hope everyone has a happy and safe holiday time until we're back on the next episode. And Andrew, thank you for everything.
Always my pleasure. Yes.
Fantastic. So from Andrew and myself, we'll see everyone on the next episode of Modem Futura.
We'll see you there.
Demodulating signal.
Modem Futura is a production of the Future of Being Human initiative at Arizona State University. Be sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows. To learn more about the Future of Being Human initiative and all of our other projects, please visit us on the web at futureofbeinghuman.asu.edu.
End transmission.